Hi there, this is Nick Devine, founder of the print coach and developer of the Elephant Hunting System, and welcome to this video series. This is going to be a series of 10 videos. In this particular video, we're going to talk about the new breed of print salesperson, and when we get to that section in about a minute's time, you'll see the new breed of print salesperson is very different to the breed of salesperson that's been operating in the industry, even going back 5-8 years ago, but certainly going back more than 10 years ago. I'm holding a set of chess pieces in my hand. You may be wondering, why am I holding a set of chess pieces in my hand? Chess is an interesting metaphor for actually business. In a game of chess, if you've ever played it, there's 3 core sets of moves you make. There's what's called the opening game, the middle game, and the end game. Thanks, Kate. And in business is a complex game, a bit like a game of chess, and it has some core moves as well you need to make, or core games you play, or parts of the game. And there's 4 core sections of the game in business. The first one we call the A-player blueprint. That's an interesting piece, and that's the foundation of everything you do. And primarily that's about hiring the right types of people, knowing where to find them, aligning their performance pay with the key objectives of the business, and then making sure the culture of the organization is about getting things done in the right way. Then the next level of the business is what we call the value builder. So while in the old print business, value was about actually delivering a great product and a great customer service experience to the client, that's actually no longer the case. Today it's about making an impact in the life of the client you serve. And we'll talk about that in one of the future videos, how specifically you do that. Then the next part is what we call the core 4. So that's where we're engaging with the customer. So how do you find, win, keep and grow the best customers in your marketplace? And then the last part is about execution. So how do you align each part of the organization with all the important goals of the organization so everything gets done faster and the right things are getting done in the right sequence? So in this particular video, we're going to focus on the new breed of print salesperson. So let's get stuck into that now. Back in the early 1980s, I sold mailing and office equipment for Pitney Bowes in Australia, and most of the training I received was product focused. That meant I could demonstrate the equipment really well to my clients, but I wasn't particularly good at selling it, and certainly not good at selling it at the right level of margin. Now, fortunately, over the years, I've been in a position to pursue and benefit from quite a lot of advanced training in the area of B2B. And when I look back, I see the world of selling, and particularly in the printing industry, has changed a lot. And we all know that in the last 10 years or so. And when you look at print salespeople that have been in the industry a long time, in the current market condition, they're struggling a lot in 2 different areas particularly. One is bringing in good quality accounts, but bringing them in at the right margin level. And if you don't have salespeople who are good in those 2 areas, it can be very costly from your perspective. It can cost you a lot in terms of missed opportunity when it comes to revenue. Margin can have a big impact on the profitability of your business at the end of the year. And obviously the carrying costs and the time, the management time that's taken up dealing with ineffective salespeople can be a significant cost to your business. And I've often heard people say it can cost north of £100,000 over the course of a year having the wrong person in situ. That's a big expense in your business. So what we're going to talk about in this video, and I'm going to show you a slide in a minute. I'll show you where to get this as a handout at the end of the video. The video will run for about 10 minutes in total. So you'll know where to get this. So if we're going quick, you'll be able to pick this up at the end of the video. I'll give you the URL for that. So the 6 skill sets, 4 of them are kind of archetypical of old type salespeople. They're important, but not as important as they used to be. And then 6 new skills. So when you're hiring, you want to look for all 6 of these skill sets, but particularly the latter 4. When I was selling for Pitney Bowes originally, I mentioned we got a lot of product type training. Well, I'm not going to talk about this too much, but it's very important to understand your product, particularly if you're selling things like cross media or web to print, etc., or sophisticated printing products and services. You need to know the product pretty well, and I'm assuming most of your salespeople are good in that area. The second area is what's described as relationship selling. Now, a lot of people would make the argument that relationships are the core of B2B selling. That may have been a valid argument a few years ago, going back 10, 15, maybe 20 years ago. It's certainly not a valid argument today, and there's plenty of research to support that. And what's very clear is the link between procurement and relationship has definitely been broken over recent years. Relationships still important, but they're not critically important as they used to be, but they certainly facilitate a good B2B buying relationship. The next level is solution selling. So when I was selling technology, so kind of IT type systems in the city in the 1990s, we got trained a lot in solution type selling methodologies. And in simple terms, solution selling is where you're learning to ask specific questions to uncover the needs of the client, and you're learning to ask them in a specific sequence. So you can then present back to the client your products and service, but in the context of what they're trying to do or the problem they're trying to solve, so they feel there's a fit between the problem they've got and the capabilities you've got. But solution selling has evolved into another level, which is described as trusted advisor level. And a trusted advisor is somebody who's seen as being a specialist in a certain area, and clients come to you for advice. So to evolve into that area, it means that you need to know quite a lot about the client's business. You need to know a lot about the client's sector, so you can then give best practice, relevant case studies, better ways of doing things. So they see you as being a source, a part of the inner circle, and that's a very effective model in today's marketplace. And when you're developing and selling services, it's a particularly important service capability to have, or sales capability to have. There's another level which I describe as storyteller, and storyteller has a few components in it. So you're using things like analogies, metaphors, often 3D models, what's called whiteboard selling, obviously core stories themselves. And this is important for a few different reasons. Obviously to explain quite complex concepts, like if a client isn't familiar with cross-media web to print, you can use metaphors and stories and analogies and whiteboard selling, kind of graphical elements to explain that. Also important in terms of preempting objections, i.e. you don't want to get involved in a price war, or to react to objections. So a very important skill set to have. And then the final skill set, which is mandatory in today's marketplace, particularly in the printing industry, is you have to know how to negotiate, because often what will happen is after you've done the deal with the business unit inside the organization, so the marketing department, wherever it is, they'll move you off into purchasing, and purchasing will try and buy what you've negotiated with marketing, but for 10 or 15% less or 5% less, which means all the margin that was on the deal when you thought it was concluded now gets negotiated back out of the deal by purchasing. So think about when you're recruiting salespeople, you want to look for a hybrid of all 6 skill sets, but not just the core 2, which is where most of your portfolio of candidates will come from, but you really want to be looking at that last 4 that we just focused on as well. So if you think about the first move you make when you're recruiting a salesperson, is you want to think, I'm hiring them to do a job. What's that job I'm hiring them to do? And we think, well, it's sales. But I would think about the top 3 specific results you want that salesperson to produce, i.e. I want them to bring them in 3 new business accounts at 100k plus in value, and using some combination of our value-added services. That might be a result. Then you would think is, for each result, what are the 3 critical skills I need to see in the candidate to know they can produce that result, i.e. they need to have the ability to get to decision makers, say marketing directors or owners of businesses, so they can sell those value-added services we're trying to promote in today's marketplace. So think about the results and then the skills that are required to produce those results. Now, obviously, we're in the new year. The year's going to go pretty quickly. We always have that experience. The new one goes faster than the previous one. IPEX is coming up pretty shortly. It's only a few weeks away. One of the interesting things IPEX have done as part of the move to Excel is they're creating a feature called the World Print Summit. Now, I will actually be attending this as attendee myself, and I think if you're going to IPEX, which I would certainly be endorsing you do, it's one of the key areas to attend, or one of the features to attend, because what they're doing is they're bringing in a combination of UK and international speakers, some of the names you'll recognize, and they're going to be talking about in 2014, 15, 16, where are the trends, where are the opportunities, what's going on in today's marketplace. So if you want to get an overview of what's going on in the marketplace and where the opportunities are, that's definitely a feature to attend. So make sure you get to that. If you want to get hold of that handout that I showed you, you could be watching this video in a range of different places, but you'll see there's a URL on the screen at the bottom there that says theprintcoach.com/1. So it's a pretty simple URL. If you go to that URL, assuming you're not already on it, you'll come to this screen. And to get the handout is available as an instant download. So you just put in your first name, primary email address, and where it says video comment, 1 or 2 things I'd really appreciate your help on. If you got an important takeaway, just let me know what that was, so we get a sense of the insights our clients are getting from these videos, so we know how to create content that resonates with the marketplace. And then the second question is, if you've got a question, anything to do with recruiting salespeople, just let us know what that question is, again, so we can focus our content on the issues that our target market's having. So that's all we're going to cover for today. This is a series of 10 videos. We'll be back next week with the next one in the series. Have yourself a brilliant day and a fantastic week, and we'll catch up next week. Bye for now.